How do you love and have a happy relationship? That's what I'm going to be going over today in the Top Takeaways review of the 5 Love Languages by Gary Chapman. What's going on, guys? It's Nick from Mindful Mastery, and like I said, today we're going to be going over the 5 love languages. And before I get into it, honestly, this book has so much information in it, and it could be helpful for those that are struggling in a relationship and those that have a good relationship. It could even help that make it even better. So please share this video with someone that is in a relationship because it could help them regardless of your situation. But at the end of this video, I'm going to tell you what my love language is, what my favorite takeaway was, and which takeaway I'm going to apply to my life. So at the end of this video, I want you to do the same thing. But let's get into it. Takeaway number 1, love tank. Now, I know this book is called The 5 Love Languages, so you would think that that is the main idea within the book. But I believe that the love tank is probably the most important aspect within this book. Because if a person's love tank is empty, then they are much less likely to want to express their love to you, and they're most likely not going to really even love you anymore. But if their love tank is full, then they'll be much more likely to express their love back to you, and they'll be much happier in the relationship. And this actually extends beyond just romantic relationships, like to family. An example from the book is that there was a little girl, and whenever she was 6 years old, her parents divorced and her father left. And she thought that he left because he didn't love her. Later on, her mother remarried, and so she had someone to love, but the daughter still didn't feel that anyone was loving her. And then whenever she turned 13, she met an older boy, and she didn't want to have sex, but because her love tank was empty, she felt that she needed to have sex in order to feel loved by him. But it actually goes even further beyond family. It goes into your friendships as well. So you can fill your friend's love tank, which is especially helpful whenever they're going through a rough time. Now, you might not be comfortable with calling it a love tank if it's with your friends, so you can call it a happy tank. Maybe that's better. Probably not better. It kind of sounds creepy. So we'll just stick with love tank for now. Takeaway number 2 is the 5 love languages. And the first love language is words of affirmation. And there are 3 main kinds of words that affirm. The first one is appreciative words. Now this is obviously showing appreciation for your partner and thanking them for the things that they do. The second one is encouraging words. A lot of people have untapped potential that they never realize throughout their entire life because they never have the confidence to go out and try something. But if a husband tells a wife that her writing is really good, then she'll be much more confident and be more likely to go out and try and get her writing published, helping her realize her untapped potential. Lastly, we've got kind words. This has to do with forgiveness. And there are 2 sides to the coin of forgiveness. Obviously, you have to forgive them or they have to forgive you. And whenever they have to forgive you, you can do one of 2 things. Either you can try and even it by bringing up something that they did in the past that was a mistake, or you can admit that you made a mistake and try to reconcile with it. And then whenever they make a mistake, you can either try and make them feel really bad about it, or you can forgive them and try and move on from the situation. So in either of those situations, it's best not to try and hurt their feeling because that blocks the flow of love. And forgiveness is not a feeling, forgiveness is a commitment. So commit to forgiving your partner in order to help strengthen your relationship. The second love language is quality time. Now, this isn't just watching TV together and those sorts of things. This requires your focused attention on your partner or whatever you're doing. And there are 2 main kinds of ways to spend quality time. The first is quality conversation. Now, this might be difficult for some, especially men, because it requires you to understand your own emotions as well as trying to help you understand your partner's emotions. So you will need to listen to what they're saying, and instead of trying to solve whatever problem they're talking about, you need to work to try and understand the emotions that they're going to, and you also need to understand your own emotions so that you are able to express them whenever it comes time to respond. The second way you can spend quality time is through quality activities. Now, this can be something that you both enjoy, or it could be something that only one of you enjoys. You just need to make sure that the other is willing to do it with a positive attitude, because if you don't go into it with a positive attitude, then neither of you will end up enjoying the experience. Now, if your partner wants to do something that you're not particularly interested in, then this is a great opportunity to express your love to them, because you're willing to do it even though it's not something that you are interested in. You just want to do it because you love your partner. The third love language is receiving gifts. This doesn't have to be anything super extravagant, and you don't have to do it all the time. You just need to make sure that those gifts are meaningful. So you can try and think of something that was from your past. An example from the book is that a couple went on their first date and they went to a baseball game. And during that game, the guy caught a home run catch. And rather than keeping that ball, he wrote on it, "First home run catch, second best thing that happened to me that day." And then he gave that to his girlfriend as a gift or a memory of that experience. And then she kept it throughout the entirety of their relationship. Or you could do something small, like if you see something on your way to work that reminds you of your partner, then that would be a great gift to give to them, because it shows that you're thinking about them. And then a last way that you can give a gift is with a gift of yourself or your presence. Now, I kind of thought this was obvious, but it was probably in the book for a reason. So this is just being there during important events, whether that be positive or negative, like a death or a promotion. You need to make sure that you give your partner the gift of your presence during these times. And if you're someone who requires your partner's presence during these times, then you need to make sure that you communicate that to them if they aren't with you, because otherwise they probably don't even know that it's important for them to be there for it. The fourth love language is acts of service. And this is mainly just doing chores around the house and those sorts of things. So you can start doing dishes, cooking dinner, or cleaning up here and there for your partner. This might be difficult for some people to do because of gender roles, but if you are really committed to the relationship, then you'll have to work to overcome that so that you can live a happy and healthy marriage. Have a happy and healthy marriage. The fifth love language is physical touch. Now, this obviously includes sexual intimacy, but it does include more than that, like holding hands, giving massages, or simply rubbing against each other whenever you're walking past. But not everyone likes the same kinds of physical touches, so you need to try and experiment with the kind of physical touches that you give to your partner and try to figure out what they really like. And if there's some sort of crisis that occurs with your partner, you need to make sure that you hold them during these times, because it is particularly important that they are comforted and loved during those sorts of times. And now that you know about the 5 love languages, takeaway number 3, how do you figure out your love language? So I'll be going over 3 questions that will help you figure out your love language, but you can also kind of re-engineer them to help you identify your partner's love language as well. The first question is, what does your partner do that hurts you the most? And then the opposite will probably be your love language. So if your partner puts you down and says mean things to you, and that hurts you super bad, then that will probably mean that your love language is words of affirmation. The second question is, what do you most often request of your partner? We often ask our partner for things that have to do with our love language without even realizing it. So if you ask, why do you never help out around the house? Then your love language is probably acts of service. The third question is, what do you do to regularly express your love for your partner? Because we most often do the things that we want done for us. So if you're constantly helping out around the house, then your love language is probably acts of service. And if you're constantly giving gifts to your partner, then your love language is probably receiving gifts. Takeaway number 4 is communication. Communication is obviously important whenever it comes to relationships, but it's super important whenever it comes to figuring out each other's love languages. So you need to sit down and try and figure out what is most important in order to help you feel loved as well as your partner. And then have each of you create a list of which, if you did that for the other, then that would help you feel the most love. But it's important that whenever you create this list, you don't do it as a demand towards your partner. Because whenever you demand something of your partner, then it kind of changes the relationship. So whenever you are a parent demanding something of your child, you're doing that because a child is not able or responsible enough to make decisions on their own. Whereas in a relationship, you're both two separate individuals and you need to respect each other. And whenever you're giving your partner the opportunity to choose, then they are able to express their love to you rather than being forced into doing something for you. Takeaway number 5, love is a choice. Most of us have probably heard about the in-love experience or the honeymoon phase, but that isn't the real kind of love, because during this period, you're actually literally high on the chemicals in your brain due to the newness of the relationship. And probably many of you are familiar that after this wears off, you start to notice the negative aspects of your partner and it really starts to bother you. And this is whenever true love really starts to shine through, because true love is intentional. It does not come easy. So you need to commit towards expressing your love by speaking their love language. And a lot of us will probably say that our partner's love language doesn't come natural to us, so we don't really know how to do it. But that's not really an excuse, because if you are truly committed to the relationship, then you will try to work at it and get better at it. And by the 300th time that you express your partner's love language, then it will be so easy and come natural to you. Those are all the takeaways that I have for you today, but now let me tell you what my love language is. And I'll actually have a link in the description where if you don't really feel like thinking about the questions that will help you figure out your love language, then you can just take a survey that will help you to identify it. But my love language is actually words of affirmation. And this makes a lot of sense for me because I have been constantly trying to seek approval from people, whether it be this person or that person. It just really helps me to feel appreciated. And my favorite takeaway from the book is that love is a choice. I was always worried about finding that in-love experience, and people always said that you'll know whenever you have it. But I've come to realize through reading this book that I have had the in-love experience. But that wasn't what really mattered. What really mattered, and what I haven't actually gotten to yet, is actually committing past the in-love experience towards loving them and expressing their love language to them. And the one that I'll actually be applying to myself is the love tank, because I can begin applying this to my friendships in order to help maximize them and help my friendships grow. But now it's your turn. What was your favorite takeaway and what's your love language? Please comment that below. Like if you enjoyed the video, subscribe if you haven't, and have a great day.